If you want to get funding for yourself or your business, your credit score is incredibly important. There are some lenders that will work with folks with bad credit, but the better your credit, the better options you have. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what you can do right now to add 10, 20, 50, or even 100 points to your credit score. Yes, we mean even 100 points. Someone on our team earlier this year was able to raise their score by 100 points by using these techniques. They followed the tips I'm about to share with you, and they're now in a much stronger position, significantly stronger than they were just a few months ago, to take on more funding for their business. So let's dive in. First, thank you so much for subscribing and liking this video, especially if you find this valuable. And thanks to the sponsor of this video, our Skip one-on-one funding support. And be sure to watch until the end for some bonus tips. So first, what is credit score and how is it calculated? Credit score in its simplest form is a score that shows your credit worthiness. How likely are you to pay back a loan or money you've borrowed? A high credit score shows to banks that you're credit worthy and that you'll have no problem paying back the money you borrowed. A low credit score means you may have a harder time paying it back, and you may not be able to borrow as a result, or if you can borrow, the interest rates may be exorbitantly high. So improving your credit score is something you have direct control over, and that can start saving you money or making you more money today. So first, here's a list at what determines your credit score. It's 5 main things: your payment history, your amount owed, the length of your credit history, recent new credit or inquiries, and your credit mix. Let me start with the 2 most important. The first being your payment history. Now, the exact percentage varies by credit bureau, but for most bureaus, this is 35% of your score. This has the biggest impact on your credit score, so it should be your number 1 priority. Make sure you don't miss payments, period. A good way to remember this is to set up auto payments. A lot of times, if you open up new credit cards, you may forget you opened them up. You put something on it, but you never logged into the online banking to set up auto payments. Then you get something in the mail that says you missed a payment and you got a ding on your credit score. So a good rule of thumb, take an inventory of your existing credit cards and go ahead and double check, make sure you're set up for auto payments so there are no surprises, especially if you've opened up new cards in the past 3 to 6 months. Just double check that you're squared away there and you have nothing to worry about. Now, if you have missed payments, chances are this is reflected in your credit score. You'll need to become current again as soon as possible. Personally, I would contact any bills that are outstanding, anything that's been sent to collections. Oftentimes, if something has been sent to collections, you can negotiate with them, and you may not have to pay the full amount. And if you do negotiate a lower payment, make sure you get it in writing before you make that payment. The second biggest factor in your credit score is amount owed. This is about 30% of your credit score. Personally, I think this is where you can have the most leverage today to bump up your credit score by 50 or 100 points in fairly short order. This amount owed is basically how much credit are you utilizing. Let's say you have $50,000 available to you on credit cards and you're using 40,000 of that 50,000. That means you have an 80% utilization, which is very high. And that's going to be reflected in your credit score. It's going to be lower than, let's say, if you were owing only $1,000, which would be around 2% credit utilization. The lower you can get your credit utilization, the better. Try to aim for no more than 5%. Of course, if you can pay your credit card bills in full every month, even better. I know that's not always possible, but just be aware of that credit utilization factor. What I'd recommend doing is looking at your total credit available right now and your total credit used, so you personally understand your current credit utilization, and then think about how you can lower that. Some banks and lenders will show you this directly. For example, I know Capital One has a CreditWise tracker, so does Credit Karma. But knowing your total credit available, your total credit utilized, and what direction that's going in will help you put together a plan to decrease your credit utilization. It will also make you more aware when you're spending items, so you can consciously decide to spend less and reduce that credit card debt. This is going to go a long way. In fact, this is the strategy that our team member used to increase their credit score by 100 points, just reducing the amount owed on their credit cards. The third most important factor for your credit score is length of credit history. There's no hack to that. This basically takes into account your oldest credit line. An important thing to remember here is to keep your oldest credit cards open. Don't close them. And that credit card companies will often close credit cards that haven't been used for 1 to 2 years. So keep that in mind. A great tip is to put a subscription that you have on one of those credit cards, whether it's $5 a month, $10 a month. So at least you have a recurring payment on that credit card, and that credit card won't be closed. The fourth most important thing for your credit score is your credit mix. This is a smaller percentage of your credit score, only around 10%. Credit mix looks at the different types of credit you have. If you only have credit cards, your credit mix will be low. But if you're making auto payments, mortgage payments, student loan payments, your credit mix will be better. That's why banks are often saying, hey, take out a mortgage because it will help your credit mix. I wouldn't do that just to optimize for credit mix, but it's something you should be aware of. If you already have poor credit, it's likely you currently have debt, so opening up another type of credit is probably not going to help your score. Plus, you'll be increasing your amount owed. So that's why credit mix has a lower ranking. It's something to think about, but the first two options I talked about are more important. Whereas if you are in a stable credit position, thinking about credit mix can help. And finally, new credit, again, it's around 10% of your credit score. So small overall, but still worth mentioning. It's not a good sign to see a lot of new accounts being opened or new inquiries on your credit report. A good rule of thumb is if you're opening up new credit cards, if you open them up on the same day, it won't count as multiple new credit inquiries. And of course, if you have the ability to get new credit via new credit cards, you'll have more available credit to you. Therefore, your credit utilization will go down. In the example I gave before, if you currently had $50,000 available to you on your credit cards, but you open up two new cards, that takes your total limit to $100K, and you're still utilizing $40,000 of that amount, your credit utilization will go from 80% to 40% just by getting more credit available to you. So there you go. Let's do a quick recap of these tips. Number one, make your payments on time by enrolling in automatic payments. Go double check that now so you're not caught by surprise. Hey, especially for 4 million of you that have EIDL loans, repayments for most of you are starting this month or next month. Make sure you're enrolled in automatic payments. Number two, pay off collections. If you missed any payments, be sure to talk to your collectors or lenders to work out a deal with them so you can get in good standing. Remember, you can often negotiate these amounts, but make sure to get all of that in writing. Third, pay down your balances to decrease your credit utilization. This is one of the most important things you can do. Fourth, the flip side to that is opening up new credit cards to increase your available credit, thus decreasing your credit utilization. Fifth, keep your oldest credit card account active and be sure you have payments on your cards at a somewhat regular interval so the credit cards you have don't close and therefore you'd lose access to that credit. And sixth, if your credit is already good, think about your credit mix. Diversifying the types of borrowing you're doing can also help, such as car or mortgage payments. So that's it. If you go through those yourself and commit to making these improvements, you can raise your score by 10, 20, 50, or even 100 points in relatively short order. It takes discipline and commitment, but it's one of the most important things you can do now more than ever, especially in times of economic recession. Speaking of, if you want help with this, improving your credit score, getting funding ready so you can then in turn get funding for yourself or your business, consider becoming a Skip member. We'd be happy to talk with you and share more how we can help you. You can use the link in the description or go to helloskip.com/join. Be sure to use the invite code Ryder invite, or you can also give us a call. Most importantly, thanks for subscribing and liking this video. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.